Campbell. And the other forward, number 34, from Virginia Union, Charles Oakley. The center wears number 33, from Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. And one of the guards, number 20, from Kansas State, Rolando Blackman. And the other guard, number 25, from Marquette, Doc Rivers. Head coach is Pat Riley. His assistants, Dick Carter and Jeff Van Gundy. The trainers, Mike Saunders and Tim Walsh. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet your Detroit Pistons. And one of the forwards wearing 0 from Notre Dame, Orlando Woolridge. At the other forward, number 10, from Southeast Oklahoma State, Dennis Rodman. At center, number 40, from Notre Dame, Bill Laimbeer. At one of the guards, number 4, from McNeese State, here's Joe Dumars. The captain, a guard wearing number 11 from Indiana, Isaiah Thomas. The head coach is Ron Rothstein. His assistants, Brendan Malone, Don Chaney, and Alan Shrebnick. The trainers.
Tough times for Ron Rothstein. An enjoyable time for Pat Riley, but you know his immediate concern is the very next game after such a big 37-point victory. Assistant coach Dick Carter explained exactly how Riley dealt with bringing the Knicks emotionally to tonight's game.
Well, Coach Riley dealt with it head on like he does with so many things. I think our players are used to that and expect that. And he told them that when he had been with the Lakers, they had an 80-20 rule that said that after the world champion Lakers had lost to another team, the other team had a great victory over them. The other teams very often went on, and about 80% of the time, they lost their next ball game. Now, we played the world champions yesterday. We beat them. Are we going to fall into that category that stumbles the next day? And right away, he addressed the issue, and our players have been kind of told that it's not easy to come back the next night from a great win.
Pat Riley seated next to assistant Dick Carter. Jeff Van Gundy is also here. For the Knicks, it'll be the same starting lineup. Patrick Ewing up front with Charles Oakley, Tony Campbell, Doc Rivers, and Rolando Blackman completing the Knicks in blue. The Detroit Pistons starting lineup has been tinkered with by Ron Rothstein over the past week. Tonight, to the dismay of Olden Polonies, it is Bill Laimbeer in the middle, Orlando Woolridge up front with Dennis Rodman, Joe Dumars, and Isaiah Thomas. Bennett Salvatore, Joe DeRosa, Don Vaden will toot the whistles tonight in the Palace at Auburn Hills. With John Andres, I'm Al Troutwig. We are underway.
The challenge for the Knicks now is to manufacture the energy and the concentration that they had yesterday. That will not be easy.
Patrick Ewing loses the ball. Isaiah Thomas on the run. He hits it. He's been shooting horribly, and about 38% Isaiah Thomas has, but he hits it there to give the Pistons the early lead.
The professional pride of the Pistons is at stake here as well, Al. Patrick Ewing settles right in. But all of these fellows, Isaiah Thomas and Laimbeer, Joe Dumars with the ball now, Woolridge, of course, have all had great success in their career, and they're not happy right now about their losing streak.
Pretty much a heave from Joe Dumars. Now the rebound comes to Doc Rivers. Tony Campbell, 6 of 9. Yesterday's game, he had the touch. Who didn't for the Knicks? Rolando Blackman on the miss, and Dennis Rodman, with his body fully tattooed now, as part of his new look, brings the rebound. Isaiah Thomas. Here with a bit of a lucky look what I found.
Well, Tony Campbell had his arms down as well, making that pass go inside rather easily.
Blackman guarded by Dumars. Ewing draws the double team, but it is Laimbeer mainly on him. Woolridge on Campbell, Thomas on Rivers, who is open. Ewing left by Laimbeer for the follow.
Patrick is double tough when he gets the ball in close and doesn't dribble the ball, as he did then. Beautifully done.
Game tied at 4, approaching the 2-minute mark of the opening quarter. Beer way outside. Never bashful for that shot. Oakley, his first rebound of the game. Doc Rivers with 7 assists in yesterday's contest and one of the best drives we've seen him make in his time with the Knicks. Thomas using the Lambie screen.
Falls on Doc Rivers.
And Doc Rivers is called for the foul. Pistons will inbound. You didn't think it was one of Doc's better games yesterday, John?
Sensational game. With everyone playing so well, it was hard to really give everyone the just the just reward, you might say, publicly of their fine play. No box out on Rodman. He doesn't shoot much, but he'll certainly hurt you around the boards, and the offensive boards is where he really excels.
6'4" Detroit. Ewing loses it on the baseline. He was thinking drive, but it will be Detroit ball.
Interesting how every game has a different tone to it. Yesterday at this point, the Knicks were exciting their fans already, and now they've missed jump shots. They've had some turnovers already, spelling perhaps that they will have to work very hard tonight.
Isaiah Thomas is well short. I think you're getting a sense already, even in these just over 2.5 minutes, what Detroit is going through. They've got guards firing away from outside. They don't seem to have, at least in the early going here, an offensive plan of any kind. And as we spoke about earlier, their offensive numbers are way down.
Only Dallas in the NBA is scoring fewer points than the Pistons, and they've had no continuity to go along with this very poor streak they're in of 7 straight losses.
Pat Riley with an early look to the bench as Greg Anthony comes in replacing Doc Rivers. So Isaiah Thomas is at the line.
I thought Rivers made a very interesting statement after the game yesterday, Al, talking about Charles Oakley. He said it was so nice to see a guy who performs so hard for this team day in and day out get the acclaim that Charles got after that effort yesterday. Made him feel good to see Charles Oakley get a lot of acclaim.
And you added to that acclaim. Illegal defense called against Detroit.
Well, my point actually is to give attention to Rivers.
Pistons quite angry at this call. It is their first infraction. No shooting. Knicks inbounding. And a fresh 24. And Anthony draws Thomas.
Tony Campbell's perspiration, Al. I mean, the game is 3 minutes old, and already his shorts are soaked.
Some people sweat more than others.
You're not kidding. That's amazing.
He literally is dripping. Charles Oakley scanning inside for Ewing, instead for Anthony, who gets it to Ewing, and all alone is Charles Oakley. There's a great look from Patrick Ewing, who had a few of those in yesterday's game.
Well, one of Patrick's challenges this year is that, and that is, oh boy, that's a rare sight. Isaiah Thomas double dribbling the basketball, an imperfection while handling the ball from one of the game's greatest ball handlers.
Tony Campbell, Ewing, Oakley around the perimeter go the Knicks. Now Blackman on the drive, and he runs into Rodman, and that'll be an offensive foul. But Pat Riley applauds in front of us here. I think he liked the movement he saw.
It shows you also Blackman is getting more confident now, going for the shots, looking for variety in his game. First it was jump shots, now the drive.
Knicks with their 3rd turnover a moment ago. Bill Lambier is called for the offensive foul. It'll go the other way to the Knicks. Coming off the bench for Detroit is number 34, Olden Polynice, who responded to coming off the bench this way. I thought if you played well, you were supposed to be rewarded. It's a little upsetting because that's a demotion, and I've been playing so hard and working so hard. He went on to say, I know the team is not doing well, but OP is doing his job. You know what, Olden? That's not the team response.
But it's within his character. That is the way he has reacted since he has been in the NBA, always griping about playing time. And he has yet to distinguish himself really as an outstanding player in the league. Yet he's got very important skills for the Detroit Pistons, mainly physical and rebounding and high energy guy. But to come out and complain publicly like that when this team is in the problems it is a poor reflection on Olden.
It's not a knock on Ron Rothstein, John. At least maybe it is in a slight way. If he's on Pat Riley's team and says that, God help him for the rest of the season. Rolando Blackman went to the bench. He got whistled for another foul. That brought John Starks off the bench. So early usage of the bench by Pat Riley here. Tony Campbell will go to the line on the foul. It is 8-6 Detroit, 7:49 in the first quarter.
Tony in limited playing time yesterday. Also had an excellent game. Only 17 minutes he played. 6 out of 9 from the field, 13 points, and impressive work on Scottie Pippen.
Well, Pippen was almost invisible for long stretches of the game, and stretches when the Bulls really needed him, when Jordan was either having his foot tended to or Jordan was just in a bad stretch of shooting. Campbell 1 of 2, Knicks within 1. Isaiah Thomas dribbles away from Greg Anthony. Oakley forces him to go around. Thomas is in the lane now, has to come out.
Isaiah, are you having fun?
Doubtful.
He's just controlling that ball for 16 of the 24 seconds before he pumped up that jumper.
Big offensive rebound by Dennis Rodman. Out for Dumars. Fans respond to Rodman's grab. Behind the back for Dumars. Rodman on the drive, and he meets Tony Campbell. Another rebound by Rodman. Dumars thinking 3 over Ewing. And Campbell pulls it down. Ewing all alone. Starks. Thomas is there for Detroit. Knicks couldn't get the ball up fast enough to Ewing, who was ahead of everyone. Thomas calls out a set play on the instructions of Ron Rothstein. Dumars hard off the glass.
Despite all the problems that the Pistons have, Joe Dumars is averaging 22 a game, right next to Patrick Ewing for the Knicks.
First points for Dumars. 4 Pistons have scored. Only 2 have scored for the Knicks, Oakley and Ewing. Campbell has a free throw. And there's Patrick again, as the Knicks are once again within 1 with 6:18 to go in the first quarter.
Many times Polonese will get into fireworks with Patrick Ewing. So far it's pretty quiet. He's a very physical player.
Polonese fakes up Patrick, then pulls up. And there's Tony Campbell with another rebound. Last few trips up the floor, Campbell has been very active at boxing out and grabbing loose balls underneath. Starks looking for Ewing again, who draws Rodman with Polonese. And there's again the second time that Ewing has done the exact same thing to Charles Oakley.
Al, the recognition by Ewing was exceptional on that play, and Charles got the position and the ball at the same moment.
Oakley with 4 points, and they've come on identical passes. Knicks in front by 1. And enjoying a 7-2 run and the first lead in the game. Looking like a teardrop on the drive, but it was Olden Polonese who followed it up for 2.
Well done. His timing was perfect. At the top of his leap, the ball was right in his hand.
Starks guarded by Dumars. Campbell has Woolridge on him. Patrick Ewing draws Dumars, helping Polonese. Starks wide open. First points for John Starks.
The double team is coming to Ewing automatically, so he's now getting in the habit of turning and finding the open man quickly.
And there's an offensive foul on Detroit. That'll give the Knicks the ball when we come back. Timeout with 4:51 to go in the first.
To high gear, Patrick Ewing leading the way. Nice pass from Starks inside. Patrick with a little fake and has no problem canning that jump shot. He's also doing other things early in this game. He'll get double teamed, is the habit of the Pistons, but he finds Oakley. Charles got around Orlando Woolridge and got the basketball at the same moment he got free.
You are looking at the leading assist man for the Knicks in the game. As a team, they have 4, and Patrick has 3 of them. Knicks 6 of 11 from the floor. Pistons 5 of 15. They've been pumping them up. 4:44 to go in the first, and the Knicks enjoying a 1-point 13-12 lead. Charles Smith checks in for the Knicks, replacing Charles Oakley. Terry Mills also in for the Detroit Pistons. The ex-New Jersey net coming off the bench as a backup center. wearing number 5. He'll be there with Olden Polynice, who'll guard Ewing, so he'll be in the middle, and Mills will be with Charles Smith.
That was John Starks on a foul trying to contain Joe Dumars.
Smith has a height advantage, or at least apparently, over Terry Mills, but he drops it in. The numbers say they're both 6'10", but I would swear that Smith is taller than Mills, and just looking at the two side by side. Smith, the fall away, battling for the rebound, but he loses out to Dennis Rodman. 7 rebounds for Dennis Rodman. 44, remember, in his last 2 games. All alone is Mills. That's 2 consecutive hoops for Mills.
Tony Campbell went to double team, but there was no one behind him to protect Mills.
Campbell is open. And it's an Olden Polynice rebound. Nobody there for the Knicks underneath.
Knicks rushing their shot a little bit.
Dumars works to get free. That's 4 points for Joe Dumars, and the Pistons on a 6-0 run to take a 5-point lead, 18-13. Final 3:15 of the first. Campbell. Mills dropped off it. 2 misses. Ewing lost it off his hands, and Polynice is there. Thomas guarded by Anthony as Mills with Campbell. Charles Smith with Rodman, Ewing with Polynice, Dumars and Starks. And an illegal defense is called against the Knicks. It's the first warning. There's a timeout on the floor. Not a good run for the Knicks right now. They're suddenly down by 5. Near the end of last season, there was Isaiah Thomas whining about not being included on the Dream Team. He had a summer to think about it and watch how they did in Barcelona. As this season begins, he is just another one of the Pistons not getting it done. If you compare his numbers now to what they've been in his career here in Detroit, you can see how much they've fallen off. More than 5 points less a game, 10% accuracy less a game, and 56% from the line compared to 76% career.
11-year pro career, came out after his sophomore year at Indiana, and Isaiah Thomas is a tired man. It's a tired body. He's gone a long way in a short amount of time as far as age goes.
Thomas guarded by Anthony. Since the last timeouts covering the last 2 minutes, the Knicks are 0 for 4 from the floor. Detroit hitting all 3 of their shots. There's their first miss in their last 4 shots. Ewing over Polynice, and now Greg Anthony. Finds Anthony Mason, who's come off the bench, replacing Tony Campbell. And Anthony Mason doing it off the bench. Right now, the Knicks with 4 bench players out there, with Patrick Ewing, the lone remaining starter for this lineup put up by Pat Riley.
Sooner or later, when perimeter people start hitting those shots consistently, the double teams will be less frequent for Ewing.
A wild, out of control Isaiah Thomas sends a ball that somehow winds up in Terry Mills' hands. And now there'll be a loose ball foul charged against the Knicks, Charles Smith.
Fouls on number 54, Charles Smith. That's his first.
And here is a much-traveled Danny Young entering the game. He is the replacement on the roster for Darrell Walker, who went out with some fireworks after being released by the Pistons on Monday. Thomas will sit. John, I believe you have that exact quote from Mr. Walker, don't you?
You mentioned it before in the open, Al. It was a very cutting remark in the direction of Coach Ron Rothstein.
I guess the way the story went was when the Pistons had decided that Walker would be let go, there was a flight home from a game in which Ron Rothstein did not approach Darrell Walker, instead waiting for Walker to speak to the director of player personnel, Billy McKinney, the next day. And Walker's response was,
he was too gutless to tell me himself. Why couldn't he be a man? He probably thought I would have strangled his neck, and maybe I would have. Darrell, always a very feisty guy, even in good times, and he naturally expressed his disappointment.
It was rather classless to say he would have strangled him. At any rate, on we go with Greg Anthony with a finger roll that's short. Rodman up the floor for Dumars. He pulls up and fires. You're getting a look at a Pistons team that is not hitting from the perimeter at all. And this has been their season, not just tonight. Another shot short. Mills He hits the side of the backboard and is fouled.
Well, the point is here, Al, is they're controlling the backboards. And you can see Rodman in the middle of the team there, congratulating everybody and instilling the spirit that they have right now, that they're trying to get to be more consistent. Dumars is doing a fine job. No box out on the part of the Knicks. Pistons just keep coming in and battling and getting the ball. You've got to put your body, if you're on defense, between the basket and the man, and the Knicks did not do that.
Terry Mills on the line, hits the first. He was the offseason problem of the Nets and general manager Willis Reed when he signed a 4-year, $10 million offer sheet, which the Nets declined to match. And that was part of Derek Coleman's lash out at team management this week. One of many targets, I might add. He misses the second, so it's a 21-15 lead for Detroit. And there you look at what's happening on the boards. It is the other way around with the Pistons out rebounding the Knicks 16-9. Dennis Rodman a big part of that. Rodman with 7 of the 16. Charles Oakley checking back into the game. A look of disgust on the face of Patrick Ewing. So too Danny Young. And there it is, corrected. 16-9, Pistons off the boards.
Excuse me, Al. Charles Smith doesn't have to worry too much about Polonese out high. He's certainly not going to do anything offensively.
Dennis Rodman with a wild shot from the outside that was part of the late game collapse last night in the game against the T-Wolves. He missed a three-pointer that I'm told was about 26 feet out at a time when the Pistons really needed a basket. They lost last night to the T-Wolves 82-80. 6 on the 24. Oakley is open. Tried to follow it, but Terry Mills is there. Another Piston rebound. Polonese on the run. Follows his own shot. That doesn't go, and Starks gets the deflected rebound. Deflected by Oakley and Smith. Knicks will hold for one shot in the closing seconds of the quarter.
The team of Polonese and Rodman certainly are uncomfortable shooting the basketball.
Oakley again. Followed. Anthony has no time to grab it and get it up. In the last 4 games, the Knicks have made a habit out of holding opponents under 20 points in a quarter. This time it's their turn.
Not a strong quarter for the Knicks opening tonight here in Detroit. Taking a look now at our Midas bench breakdown. For the season, the Knicks against their opponents have excelled in points off the bench as well as rebounds. Different story here after one quarter.
All right, John, I know you were eavesdropping. Let us in on what Pat Riley said.
Pistons outscoring the Knicks more than 2-1 right now early in the game. Pat Riley was harping on the lack of boxing out by his front line. The Pistons got those rebounds because the Knicks allowed them to get inside, particularly on the offensive boards.
Knicks also concerned about the number of second shots the Pistons had in that first quarter, totaling 9, as the Knicks amass only 15 points. Terry Mills on the fall-away draws the foul. He's been very active and effective for Detroit since coming off the bench in the first quarter. Do you think Marv is home, John, watching the game from start to finish, or do you think he's punching around, you know, the Discovery Channel and Lifetime and the networks from time? Does he watch the whole game?
I think he does, Al.
Every minute?
Yes, and he takes notes, and oh, can he be critical. But in all fairness, he's critical to himself.
And we'll get the report then for Tuesday night's game when he'll be back when the Knicks take on the Portland Trailblazers. I think he sneaks a look at HBO from now on again. That's just my suspicion. Greg Anthony posting up his Mason. Good inside, outside, around the perimeter. He's trying to move the excitement up on offense by just moving. Air ball there by Starks on the run. Pistons lead it 23-15. Terry Mills. There he is. From 20. Terry Mills leading with 7 points, all scorers for Detroit, and it is an even 10-point lead.
It has been a long time between field goals for the Knicks. They've sat on 15 points for several minutes.
Charles Smith fouled as he tried to drive to the middle. Rolando Blackman is back in. John Starks will sit. Starks 1 of 2 points. Blackman, in the time he had in the game, took only 1 shot and missed it.
The Knicks are not getting a flow in their offense. They're reverting to one-on-one play. They've got to get movement without the ball.
Oh, what a pass from Greg Anthony. Mason missed the first attempt, but gets the follow. That was a thread-the-needle pass by Greg Anthony. First points of the second quarter for the Knicks. Over Colonies, guarded by Patrick Ewing. Anthony on Danny Young. Mason on Orlando Woolridge. Rolando Blackman on Gerald Glass, the XT Wolf, and there's Terry Mills shooting again, and there's Terry Mills getting fouled again.
There's a period of 3 minutes and 39 seconds between the baskets for the Knicks. Charles Smith wasted a foul. Mills taking a fall-away shot from significant distance. Charles took the foul instead of just putting the hand up and trying to deflect the attention of Mills instead of putting his hands on him.
Terry in his 3rd year out of Michigan.
In fact, can recall recently Pat Riley making a point of Charles Smith committing fouls inside the paint area, not wasting them outside.
Anthony Mason looking for somebody to establish something down low. Instead, he's got to go to Anthony, who now sees Smith hard off the glass. Ewing tried to keep it alive. Danny Young launches it for Gerald Glass. Flips it inside and out of bounds. Oh, Anthony Mason streaking in front to try and deflect that ball. He just missed it, but Polonese could not control it. You may hear Pat Riley walking, pacing right in front of our position here. Another loose ball thrown away by the Knicks. Turnovers are bugging him. 7th time they've turned over the ball. Terry Mills rejected by Ewing. Now Polonese. Fakes, goes, out of control, and Charles Smith pulls down the ball. Ewing, beautiful lay-in.
Greg Anthony saw Ewing and delivered it right on target. And how about Ewing with the effort getting down court ahead of the Pistons?
Makes it 26-19. Gerald Glass with a quick flip for Polonese. It's Terry Mills. Similar to the way Knicks fans might be time to get used to some of the new faces. How about if you're a Pistons fan after a world championship just a couple of years ago to turn it on and see Danny Young, Olden Polonese, Gerald Glass, Orlando Woolridge, and Terry Mills on the floor.
You know, it seems to me as Polonese left the floor that he went out of his way not to look at his replacement, Bill Laimbeer.
Laimbeer and Isaiah Thomas back in. Terry Mills lets Charles Smith shoot it, and he snaps the net, 28-21. Thomas picked up by Greg Anthony, and again, a passive crowd at the Palace of Auburn Hills, a tradition that you alerted me to, John.
Yes. Welcome, Al. Welcome to the Palace for your first visit.
Off the foot of Greg Anthony.
When the Pistons were winning world championships, it was similar here. The enthusiasm was very dull, very limiting. You didn't hear much cheering except for certain parts of the game. Very quiet crowd here.
And it's very quiet now.
Suburban Detroit.
Thomas for Woolridge for Laimbeer. Laimbeer, great fake on Ewing.
That's one of Patrick Ewing's bad traits. He will go for the fake and take himself out of the play.
Blackman. Just looking for somebody to get hot from the perimeter. Ewing triple team. Blackman is wide open. 3-second violation on Charles Smith. And Riley's temperature is rising.
imperfections are what's bothering Pat Riley. Charles Smith, at this stage of his career, has to know what 3 seconds is on the offensive end of the court.
Knicks with 8 turnovers so far, twice the number of Detroit. Really is strange, the nature of sports, John, how on one day a team can play at the level the Knicks did yesterday, and then on the very next day, the execution, the shot selection, virtually every aspect of the game just doesn't come the same way. It's really strange.
It's a wonderful part of sports, Al. You never know from day to day.
I'm not sure if Pat is thinking right now that it's wonderful.
I'm sure he isn't.
And Hubert Davis, who hasn't played in a couple of games, checks back in. He'll be at the guards for the Knicks, along with Greg Anthony. It is Charles Smith, Anthony Mason, and Patrick Ewing up front. Pat Riley hoping that Hubert Davis could be the perimeter solution.
Hubert wisely handling the ball and pushing it to other people.
That pass by Anthony is stolen away by Thomas. Approaching 7 minutes to go in the half. Ewing is down. Lambier is then open. Smith battling with Orlando Woolridge. What's the call? They're going to call a foul on Charles Smith.
Yes, there's no such thing as force out now. If a man is out of bounds, compliments of his defender, then that's a foul.
And that's the third. Dennis Rodman in for the Detroit Pistons. You can see some of the new additions to his body. Significant tattooage, if I can use that word, on both arms. There's a dolphin evidently on the arm, and he's got a tattoo of his son on one arm as well. Isaiah on the drive. Pat Riley looks like he wants to stop this game with a timeout. And such is the case with 6:48 to go. The Pistons enjoying their biggest lead. It's 11 points at the Palace.
It's the Riley's hamburger hunt. Under one of
Your cannonball, sir. And my resignation, sir. Good day, sir.
Knicks are having a lot of passes deflected because they're not presenting any deception in the delivery. Got to be a little fake most of the time before you pass the ball.
Campbell for Hubert Davis, 10 on the 24. Doc Rivers back in with Ewing, Mason, and Tony Campbell. Doc had to go for it a second time in a battle underneath, and it's Rodman and Woolridge coming away with the basketball. Detroit owning the boards. Isaiah Thomas, Fitzgerald Glass, and Doc Rivers on the miss.
Hubert succeeded in pushing Glass to the middle of the court where he could get some help.
Hubert Davis, good look for Mason. Back for Davis. Campbell. He's having trouble getting anything inside. Collapsing Pistons defense. Mason struggles on the shot, looking for the foul. Ewing can't tip it. Thomas on target. 34-21 Detroit. It is not happening right now for the Knicks. That'll be a foul on Dennis Rodman.
Boy, credit Rodman with work, though. I mean, he got bounced on that pick. The foul was on him because he was refusing to accept the pick. He wouldn't stop for a pick. He ran through it, but committed the foul with his aggressiveness. Coaches love that hustle.
This is a staggering total. 8 points in almost the last 11 minutes for the Knicks. Patrick Ewing on Bill Lambier. It won't go. Rodman's there for yet another rebound. Woolridge on the run. Doc Rivers tries to draw the foul and does, but it's to himself.
See, the Knicks have short forwards out there in Mason and Campbell. So when Ewing shoots the ball, their chances of offensive rebounds are not that high. With Oakley out of the lineup, with Smith out of the lineup. It's important when Ewing shoots that both forwards go to the boards.
Third foul against Doc Rivers, and that gets Greg Anthony off the bench, taking off his warm-up. Orlando Woolridge to the line. Woolridge has not scored in the game yet. There's his first point. Anthony is in and Rivers is out. Looking pretty dejected as he comes off the floor.
Orlando has only had one 20-point game this season, actually a 25-point game, an overtime loss to the Clippers. He's been quite up and down, inconsistent scorer, mainly because this team can't run like they used to, and his game depends on running. He's an excellent man in the open court.
All right, now it's an 8-0 run by Detroit. Campbell can't handle the Ewing pass. Thomas slides one over to Rodman on the run. It's all Knicks underneath. And Anthony Mason is fouled from behind. It will be on Isaiah Thomas, his first. It actually slows down what looked to be a pretty good Knicks fast break after that ball came free, but the Knicks will inbound in the backcourt. Mason to Greg Anthony. Hubert Davis yet to take a shot. Offensive foul on Anthony Mason. That is the second foul on Mason. A single good Knick event in the last, what, John? 8-9 minutes the last day.
That's not quite true, but they're not putting anything together consistently here, and that's their problem. And the Pistons, to their credit, are working hard.
Davis back and forth from Ewing. Greg Anthony winds up taking the shot. It doesn't go. Ewing looking for the foul. Thinks Lambier shoved him out of the way. Orlando Woolridge. 4 points for Woolridge on that wild one-hander. And it's 38-21. The Knicks are down by 17.
Knicks are facing what the Bulls faced yesterday in the Garden. And if this personality of the game continues, the Knicks will be out of it by the half, which is a very unusual thing to happen in the NBA, but they must manufacture some momentum to get this lead down.
There was a delay of game warning to Detroit. Anthony on the run, and there's another assist for Patrick Ewing. Great game in that department for Patrick. 15-point deficit for New York. Final minutes of the first half. Charles Oakley getting set to come in for Anthony Mason. This eavesdropping thing is fun, John. 4 on the 24. Woolridge is off. Campbell looks up the floor. Knicks are trying to push it. Ewing on the bounce from Anthony. Now the Knicks try to get something started, cutting the lead to 13 points.
Very unusual to see a big man like Ewing handle getting a basketball passed to him on the fast break at the foul line and having him take a jump shot as nicely as Ewing did.
2:51 to go. 38-25 the home team.
With some fine play in the last minute, the Knicks have inched a little closer to the Pistons. As a result of good passing, the Knicks have gotten some good shots. Patrick Ewing getting the ball in close, picks out Greg Anthony on a beautiful cut, and Anthony finishes the play rather nicely.
Well, if you're the Pistons and Ron Rothstein, you're wondering how your club is going to handle prosperity this time. Building up leads in the first half for the Pistons has been a rather common event. It's what they do with it after that has been disturbing for the Pistons to see. It was a 17-point lead that is now 13. Pat Riley sends out Charles Oakley, Tony Campbell, Patrick Ewing, Hubert Davis, Greg Anthony, Isaiah Thomas at one guard, Joe Dumars the other, Lambier, Woolridge, and Rodman. It is the starting lineup for Detroit. Dumars fouled by Greg Anthony on the drive. Sorry, it's on Hubert Davis.
With Lambier fading outside, as he often does, the Knicks send Tony Campbell after him instead of Ewing.
About that blowing of leads, Isaiah Thomas said this pattern's not good. I think we're developing a pattern of getting up 10 to 12 points and then losing. We need to sustain our lead. So there's the case of where the Pistons are feeling and thinking right now. All the colonies back in. Lambier to sit. Joe Dumars makes it 39-25. And the local computer system, John, has gone totally kaflooey. Right now we're getting the stats of Philadelphia and Cleveland on the screen.
Probably better numbers than the Knicks are putting up right now. Second quarter has seen the Knicks with 10 points after the 15-point opening quarter, and the half is closing in.
2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Greg Anthony using the Oakley screen, rejected by Orlando Woolridge. Running on the 24.
He didn't go up strongly enough. That is, Greg Anthony didn't go up strongly enough to the basket.
Nice defense played by Woolridge, getting back on his heels to make the play. Patrick Ewing is fouled as he goes to the hoop. Holden Polynice is called for his second foul. Detroit over the limit, so Patrick Ewing will go to the line. I guess if there is a bright spot for the Knicks in this first half, it is the vision and passing of Patrick Ewing after being double or triple teamed. Finding Greg Anthony on one play, Charles Oakley on two others. Jerry Mills, who had a fabulous effect earlier in the game when he came in from inside and outside, replaces Dennis Rodman, who's doing a great job off the boards.
Patrick shot his foul shots well yesterday, 6 out of 7 against the Bulls. Against the Timberwolves, the night he had 30 points, did not go to the line once.
11 points, as you saw, for the Knicks in what is almost a quarter. 12 points now in the last 14 minutes. It is 40-27. A miracle, really, that it's only a 13-point lead. Dumars trying to use Mills, draws a Ewing, Davis double team. He's in trouble with 5 on the 24. Woolridge, a bounce for Polynice, and the Pistons come away with a saving play. Under 2 minutes to go in the half. It looked as though the Knicks have pulled off a successful trap, and Hubert Davis finally takes the shot and hits.
Been a while for the Knicks to get a reliable perimeter game going, and Hubert breathes some life into that.
There's a foul away from the ball, I believe, and it is called on Hubert Davis. That'll be his second foul. Knicks over the limit, so that will send Joe Dumars to the line. John, just in case you were interested, the only player to score so far for Philadelphia is Charles Barkley on the computer.
We're talking about an old computer listing.
Yeah, Mahorn is with Barkley. Mike Jaminski's still in the game.
Meanwhile, Hubert Davis meeting Joe Dumars for the first time. Has to be quite an experience. Joe Dumars, one of the outstanding performers in the NBA over the last several years. Still has plenty of moves as he has led the Pistons in scoring this year.
That's 8 points now for Joe Dumars, who's really been piling up the minutes. He's played 40-plus minutes for Ron Rothstein in 8 of 11 games. 40 in the last game, in which he scored 25. Greg Anthony draws 2, shoots the ball anyway. Ewing with a tip and has to step over Anthony. May have given him a shot in the chest. Anthony shakes it off and gets back. Knicks again within 13. Fouled on the drive was Orlando Woolridge.
Again, the Knicks not identifying their men early enough. Simple passing inside the foul line, finding open Pistons, and the Pistons do it now. Thomas on the move inside. And Woolridge getting the ball 4 feet from the basket with no one guarding him. Before that, Greg Anthony on the drive. Patrick Ewing with the beautiful tip in. Unfortunately, Greg Anthony was underneath him, and very carefully Patrick Ewing avoids a sprained ankle coming down on Greg Anthony.
5 points now for Orlando Woolridge. It's got to be a pretty scary thought to be laying on your back and see Patrick Ewing's sneaker headed for your chest.
Not a happy moment.
65 seconds to go as Woolridge makes it a 15-point lead again. Knicks with 31 points with a minute to go in the half. Greg Anthony, the ball stolen away. Isaiah on the drive. Anthony lets him go.
Well, that was a telegraph pass from Charles Oakley.
And it is a 17-point bulge again. Another steal. Isaiah Thomas with help from Terry Moles. Here's Orlando Woolridge. And Colonies is hammered by Charles Oakley.
That's a flagrant. No hesitation by the officials on that one. Charles looked like he was in a football game.
Well, it'll be 2 shots and another possession for Detroit.
Olden Colony's taking quite a fall, but you know, I got to credit him. He's been a hot guy in the past when it comes to physical play, but he took that shot and didn't bounce up with his fists flying. He's a 7-foot guy. How about that for mobility, the way he bounced up?
A pretty furious finish for the Detroit Pistons. Very badly timed for the Knicks. Colony's way off on the free throw. He'll get one more, and then the Pistons will get the ball again as a result of the flagrant foul. Anthony Mason back in for the Knicks. He'll replace Charles Oakley. And a 20-second timeout is called. With 43.5 to go, 48 for the Pistons, Knicks 31. And the Knicks had struggled to get it below 13 points, couldn't do it, and now the Pistons have expanded their lead again.
It is an adventure for Polonis at the foul line. This season he's shooting at 40% from the foul line. 40%.
That's not good. What is your acceptable level?
Professionally?
Yeah. 75?
75, yeah.
Colonies with another shot to go. Of course, at halftime, Bob Page will be along at the MSG Sports Desk with the full report, and really all the prayers that I can muster and special feelings go out to Dennis Byrd of the New York Jets today, as the Jets are hoping that whatever news they get will be good news after his collision with teammate Scott Mercereau in today's loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Bob will have the latest on that, bring you up to date, and John and I will be back with highlights, and there'll be lowlights from a Knicks standpoint at halftime. No, it's funny, John, you got Colonies who's complaining about the role now coming off the bench. He's going to get significant minutes anyway. It's just simply, I guess, whatever status is attached to being a starter in his mind. It's almost silly when your team's lost 7 straight games, as the Pistons have. Now the last 38 seconds of the half. Flagrant foul really hurting the Knicks. Dumar's the follow-up. It is 51-31, a 20-point lead for the Detroit Pistons. A day after they manhandle the Chicago Bulls, the Knicks struggle against Detroit. And there'll be a loose ball foul against the Knicks. It'll be called on Patrick Ewing. That is the 3rd foul against Patrick.
Patrick asking for an explanation. Getting no satisfaction.
That means Charles Oakley comes back onto the floor. Ewing is pulled with 19.7 to go. Riley not wanting to chance a 4th foul in this first half. Back on April 12th, you may remember the 62-point performance of the Knicks. Their worst offensive performance since the 1954 advent of the 24-second clock. They're halfway there, 61 actually, so they're just about halfway there to a similar performance. That was the playoff game and part of that 5-game 3-2 victory by the Knicks. Sorry, John, I thought it was a playoff game. It was a regular season game.
Thank goodness we have an electronic wizard with us, you know.
He watches all, hears all.
Well, the Knicks have been brought crashing back to earth here in the first half in Detroit after the magnificent level of performance they achieved yesterday. But it has been a crash here in the first half. No reliable shooting percentage, allowing the Pistons all kinds of offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds while not getting missed shots. And no continuity at all on offense. No flow to the offense.
3 points for Greg Anthony as he goes 50% on that trip to the line. And Terry Mills is called for the loose ball foul. Knicks will get another chance with 11 seconds to go to get this deficit under 20.
Anthony shooting his fouls. It's over 76% this season. Currently enjoying a number 3 position as far as Knicks scorers. Anthony Mason at over 13 points a game.
What's interesting is that Mason takes his free throws about a foot off the line, so he's actually taking 16 footers instead of 15. It is an 18-point lead for Detroit. 5 seconds to go in the half. Thomas dancing on Starks. Heaves one up, and it comes up short. So a lot to think about for the New York Knicks. After 2 quarters at the Palace of Auburn Hills, it is the Pistons 52 and New York 34. When we come back, Bob Page will be at the MSG Sports Desk. Now the leading scorer summary is brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. We'll start it off with Detroit. Leading the way, 12 points off the bench for Terry Mills, 4 of 7, 3 rebounds. 10 points each for Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas from the guard spot. 3 of 8 for Dumars, 4 of 9 for Isaiah. For the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing leading the way with 14 points, 6 of 10, 8 rebounds. After that, single digits, Mason, Oakley, Anthony, and Campbell. Orlando Blackman and Doc Rivers got 12 minutes in that first half combined and did not score. So after yesterday, when even the Knicks City Dancers had a good game, John, it's all gone wrong for the Knicks. Now, you hinted to me a moment ago, you might find that in your heart there might be a perverse way in which Pat Riley could enjoy the fact that the Knicks struggled after yesterday's success.
Well, Al, I'm just reaching on that. Pat Riley's been very sensitive since he's been here to his team rejoicing at success, and the Knicks enjoyed tremendous success yesterday. I have no idea if that's true or not.
Learning lessons. Yeah.
Yes, but I think he would much prefer to see the team continue on the style of play they had yesterday, and that didn't happen. And I don't really think at this point, upon reflection, that they should need to learn any more conduct lessons after what went on recently. They just played a very poor half, and the question now is, can they recapture some of the style that they had yesterday? Only Patrick Ewing really played a good half among the Knicks.
All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights, whatever there are. They're brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series.
Patrick Ewing, as I mentioned, the bright spot for the Knicks in the first half. Not only did he lead them in scoring, but he led them with assists with 4. And this is one of his nice passes inside to Charles Oakley early in the game. Charles Oakley a little careless with the passing of the basketball on that play, and that led to a field goal at the other end of the court for Isaiah Thomas. Joe Dumars hurt the Knicks with a very deceptive move off the backboard. Joe had a fine first half, one of the high scorers for the Pistons. And Terry Mills off the bench in only 12 minutes in the first half got free underneath the basket and gave Anthony Mason a feeling for a big body. Mills at 6'10" went up with no problem.
Back in a moment to the Palace for the second half. Knicks need a big comeback. The Knicks both shooting below 40%, but that's enough of a margin for Detroit. Pistons have been to the line 22 times compared to 8 for the Knicks. That's been a note of concern for Pat Riley in many games this season. And the Pistons getting 18 of those 22. Out rebounding the Knicks by 2. And offensive rebounds 12-9. And the Knicks with a disastrous total of 13 turnovers compared to 4 for the Pistons in the first half.
The 34 points the Knicks scored are a season low for a half, but they do not challenge a record, a one-game record that the Knicks have, which goes back to 1973 against Chicago, when the Knicks scored only 26 points in a half.
Well, this will be a test of the confidence that the Knicks helped build up over the past week in winning 4 straight, especially yesterday with their 37-point victory. And it'll be a test also of the Pistons, who have struggled to hold leads, part of their 7-game losing streak, which they hope to end tonight. The Knicks with their same starting lineup. Orlando Woolridge way off, and it's all Knicks underneath. Doc Rivers guarded by Isaiah Thomas. Tony Campbell picked up by Dennis Rodman, and Campbell takes it right inside where Charles Oakley tips in for 2 Knick points.
Blackman and Rivers played limited time in the first half. Blackman 7 minutes, Rivers 5 minutes. They each got in foul trouble early,
and neither of them scored. That ball is kicked on the steal attempt by Doc Rivers.
Rivers now has 3 fouls and Blackman 2.
Rivers with Isaiah Thomas. Oakley with Orlando Woolridge to compete the matchups on the floor at the start of the 3rd quarter. Dumars outside for Thomas. Lambier looking for Rodman. Pistons very active on defense. Thomas draws 2. Lambier is left open. Patrick Ewing with the big rebound. Blackman for Doc Rivers. Campbell uses the Oakley screen. 10 on the 24. Blackman followed by Ewing. Doc Rivers just inside the 3-point line, and he drops it in.
What the Knicks did on that sequence of passing is spread the floor out quite nicely, so that when the right man got the ball, there was plenty of room for him to work.
It is a 4-0 start to the 3rd for the Knicks. Rodman battling inside with Oakley and Ewing, and this will be a foul against the Knicks.
What an example of the tenacity and desire of Dennis Rodman on that play, battling in that situation. Taller men, Oakley and Ewing. Rush shot by Isaiah Thomas. Ewing competing for the ball with Oakley, and Rodman comes out the winner.
3rd foul against Oakley. Back live. Dumars on the run in a crowd of Knicks. Pat Riley is really giving it to the officials here. Charles Oakley caught him on the foul. That is his 4th. 2 quick fouls against Charles Oakley. Joe Dumars was surrounded by all 5 Knicks.
Well, it looked like he walked away, actually, from the traffic, committed a violation, but the official saw a foul on that play.
Anthony Mason getting set to check in for Oakley. And he'll do it after this first free throw. Joe Dumars missed 1 game last weekend with a hyperextended right knee. Came back and played on Wednesday night. The Detroit trainer said, when asked if he feels okay, he said he's whistling and smiling. I guess that means he's all right. It always seems as though Joe has some sort of strain or something wrong.
Just wrestling the ball away from Rivers.
And it goes right back to the Knicks. 5th turnover for Detroit. 54-38. Mason out high. Knicks have struggled to get the ball into Patrick Ewing in such a position where he has room to move. He's drawn double and triple coverage. Here he spins from Lambier. Gets it back on the save attempt. 4 on the 24. Rivers is off. And it'll be a loose ball foul against the Knicks on Patrick Ewing. That is number 4 on Ewing. And now Pat Riley has a team in foul trouble. And Riley chasing after the officials to plead his case. And a technical foul on Ewing.
It had to happen. Patrick made a point about chasing Bennett Salvatore down the end of the court, arguing the foul.
And an angry Ewing is pulled. Charles Smith is in. And now the Knicks draw themselves together just outside the 3-point line for their own little mini conference. Dumars to attempt the technical. It is 55-38, a 17-point lead for the Pistons. They've really piled up the fouls in the last couple of minutes. 9:26 to go in the third.
Interesting matchup. Tony Campbell on Lambier, who normally is out high by the circle. Lambier setting picks down low.
Joe Dumars is called for the offensive foul, and he's angry at the call. That's his second.
Quiet first half for Charles Smith in 10 minutes. 2 points, 1 rebound. He's in for Ewing now. Patrick out cooling down.
Rolando Blackman trying to use the Mason screen. Have to work it around with 8 on the 24. Rivers driving. Saved by Smith. 3 on the 24. 2. Rivers inside, and the Knicks can't get it off. Tony Campbell comes out with his hands extended as if to say, what happened? He was unaware that the 24-second clock was running down. At least it appears that way. And Isaiah Thomas is fouled, who runs right through and past the Knick bench. Campbell is drawn on the foul. His first. Rodman on the inbound for Thomas.
Lambier out high, setting picks wherever he can.
Dumars in and out. Orlando Woolridge is there, and he throws the ball away. 1 minute Rodman was there, the next he wasn't. And that cost the Pistons the ball. 6th turnover for Detroit.
Excuse me, Al, the Pistons are playing, I must say, with lively legs, and they played away last night as well as the Knicks did, but they're very much alive here at home.
Charles Smith over Lambier, and it counts with the foul. The 3rd foul on Lambier.
Charles Smith with the good position, keeps it simple, right up with the jump hook shot.
Charles Smith in the line. He shoots 1.
It's pretty obvious that the Knicks at this point could use that offense of Charles Smith inside. He has turned up the rebounding over the last 4 games, as we see.
Anything good the team has, whether it be on offense or defense, is what Pat Riley's team needs now. It better be both.
Technical foul.
We have a technical foul on Tony Campbell.
Tony Campbell is called for the technical foul. I did not see it, John, did you?
No, I didn't. Verbal punishment. Tony complaining, indicating he got hit in the face.
So 2 technicals for the Knicks in this 3rd quarter. That free throw gives the Pistons a 56-41 lead. Thomas looking for a cutting Rodman. He's got him. Charles Smith trying to stay with him. Rodman goes for the shot. Tony Campbell had the position, but Lambier went over it from behind. It was tipped by Campbell out of bounds. Lambier. Rodman goes over the top of Smith for the rebound, and he'll be called for the loose ball foul. Wait a minute. Now it's called on Charles Smith, and a technical foul on Riley.
It's cumulative. Pat's been complaining quite a bit throughout the game, and the officials were rather quick on that technical, but it's been adding up. If you're a Pistons lover, Al, you gotta love the way Rodman competes, though. He is relentless. He's out working everybody, but he's made a habit of that.
And now there was a foul that will send Rodman to the line. Well, this is a rough sequence for the Knicks, no doubt about it. They've had 3 technicals in the quarter.
There's so much much of this early part of the season, the man at the foul line, Dennis Rodman, has said he can't get his head into it. That's why he didn't report into camp. He wasn't happy with the disappearance of Chuck Daly, the coach who moved on to Jersey, the whole dismantling of this team. Boy, is his head into it now. What conditioning. Here's a guy, no training camp, no exhibition season. But he's a legendary conditioning guy. After games last year, I remember him hearing about him going into the training room and riding the bike for a half hour after a game.
Loose ball almost stolen away. Campbell is on the floor. And a 20-second timeout is called to prevent the Knicks from losing possession. It is 58-41. This program is authorized by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event without the express written consent of Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated is prohibited. Just to continue on your point, John, it was as recently as last weekend that Ron Rothstein said Dennis Rodman simply doesn't know our plays yet. And I guess he's hoping that over the past week, Rodman has spent some extra study time and learning the Pistons offense as it exists right now under Rothstein.
Well, Dennis Rodman is the least affected by the Pistons plays because he doesn't participate in them. What he does, though, is stop other people from scoring, and he grabs rebounds furiously. Last year, over 18 a game. First time in 20 years those numbers were achieved in the NBA.
With 7 on the 24, Tony Campbell misses from the outside. Isaiah Thomas spins from Campbell, finds Woolridge. Rebound, Charles Smith. Pat Riley wants Rivers to get it going. Knicks have nobody hitting from the outside. Rolando Blackman tries to change that. It is a 15-point deficit for the Knicks.
It is a different looking team when Blackman shoots the ball like that, as he did yesterday on occasion.
Thomas draws the double team. Now Campbell backs off. 10 on the 24. Dumars guarded by Blackman. Well, short. Rodman is there again.
When that shot went up, Anthony Mason lost complete track of Rodman.
Loose ball picked up by Campbell as the 24-second clock expires. Mason misses on the layup. And Dennis Rodman with another rebound. 13 for Rodman. Woolridge all alone. Pat Riley looks to his bench and tells John Starks and Greg Anthony to get in. Knicks just standing around on offense. Not a lot of movement here. A lot of standing around as Mason gets some room and banks it in.
Unusual to see Mason do that. Dribble, and then shoot the jump shot off the dribble.
Back to a 15-point lead with 6 to go in the third. Pistons clear it out for Isaiah. Nice job of defense. Charles Smith gets the rebound for Doc Rivers. Fires it for Tony Campbell. In on Woolridge. It's the bottom of the backboard, but a foul is called. 5:37 to go. There is a timeout at the Palace and a concerned coach of the Knicks.
Moment is brought to you by the team of Canon Technology and MCS Service. One is a great reason to buy the other. We talk about good teamwork tonight. It involves the Detroit Pistons. Rodman competing, handing that ball off as he hits the floor. Isaiah Thomas dribbling the ball up court and finding the open Orlando Woolridge for the stuff. The Knicks sleeping on defense. That ball sailed right by Tony Campbell into the hands of Orlando Woolridge.
Rodman has 13 rebounds so far in the game. Patrick Ewing leads that category for the Knicks with 10. The third quarter shooting for the Pistons, 1 for 11, 9%. Knicks 5 of 10, and still it is a 15-point deficit. Knicks piled up some fouls, 3 technicals. Those opportunities have kept the Pistons in front. Dennis Rodman throws the ball away.
It's amazing. 1 for 11 and still leading by 15. Well, they had 52 at the half, so they've got 8.
Knicks had 34, so they have 9. Make it 11. And once the computer goes down, I'm lost. 7 on the 24. This has become a common occurrence for the Knicks in the last few minutes. With 1 on the 24, it is in and out.
Knicks are being reminded of the tough defense this Detroit team has presented over the last several years as they're finding it more and more difficult to get good shots. Woolridge gives it up.
And a steal for Starks, and the foul by Woolridge. Third foul against Orlando Woolridge. Terry Mills checking in for Detroit. Mills played a great first half. 4 of 7 from the floor, 3 rebounds, 12 points. Really got the offense going inside and outside. By the way, the Pistons without the services of Mark Aguirre, who was bothered by tendonitis in his Achilles in both feet. It really makes his heels rather painful. Starks, quick look Mason, and he is fouled from behind by Terry Mills. Third on Mills.
Pistons have 2 field goals this quarter, Al. Excuse me, 1 field goal, 3 points off technical fouls.
With 4:24 to go, it is still 60-45.
Patrick Ewing getting a long rest after that technical foul call.
Mason hits the nightcap of the trip to the line, so it's 60-46 with 4:22 to go. Thomas guarded by Greg Anthony. Mills setting up, picked up by Mason. They bang bodies. 10 on the 24. Mills, a one-handed hook, and he drops it in.
Terry Mills at 6'10" is having an excellent game. He will not have his shot deflected or bothered by the shorter Anthony Mason, and he's got a big body to go with it.
14 points for Terry Mills. Tony Campbell. Tony just can't get it to fall tonight. Campbell is 0 for 7.
Isaiah Thomas to Olden Polonies. Beautifully done by Isaiah.
18 points. The lead for Detroit. Again, with 6 seconds on the 24-second clock, the Knicks put it up, and Greg Anthony is fouled. Isaiah called for a second. You know, John, yesterday Tony Campbell 6 of 9. Looks like he might be getting in the flow, but now he's 0 for 7 and 0 for 9 earlier this week. This has got to be a point of concern for the Knicks, who really hope to take this man who was a 20-point scorer in Minnesota and make him an integral part of the offense. But right now, he seems lost out there.
Tony's not lost by himself, though, Al. This team effort tonight is similar in yesterday's sense of the team was excellent yesterday. Everybody was at a high level. Today, with the exception of Ewing, it has been the opposite. They are playing as a team, even though they're not playing well.
Tony Campbell sits. Rolando Blackman returns, so it'll be a 3-guard offense for the Knicks. Anthony Blackman and Starks with Charles Smith and Anthony Mason. Both Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing in a bit of foul trouble with 3 minutes to go in the third. And the Pistons up by 17. Danny Young into the lineup for Detroit. With Terry Mills, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, and Olden Polonies. 5 on the 24. Mills from outside. Polonies over Mason. Mills with the follow. Detroit's just too tough for the Knicks inside.
And they're not being kept out.
Well, the Knicks have 3 guards out there, and it's just too much for Mason and Smith to keep Polonies, Rodman, and Mills off the boards. Starks spins and lets it go. And there's Polonies with the rebound. Off the fingertips of Joe Dumars, pressured by John Starks. Now the Knicks call a timeout with 2:17 to go, down by 19.
Offensive rebounds, the Pistons doing a little better in both departments. In fact, offensive rebounding significantly better than the Knicks. The Knicks have failed to keep the Pistons off the boards. That's their biggest failing tonight.
Same lineup for both teams with 2:08 to go in the third, and the Knicks down by 19. Charles Smith with some space. Colonies on him. Throws contact in the lane. And Dennis Rodman is up there like a vacuum cleaner. 15 rebounds for Dennis Rodman. Sprinting up the floor. And a whistle by Bennett Salvatore stops play. That'll be a foul on Anthony Mason.
Terry Mills moving into position, and Mason lifted him off the ground as he moved forward to push him out of the position he wanted.
John, Terry Mills will step to the line, but it's Dennis Rodman I'm thinking of. You know, the rumor here is that perhaps as you look at the free throw numbers, Rodman is playing at the level that he is playing in the last few games because the Pistons said the only way we can trade you and get you out of here, if that's what you want, is to play at a level to make yourself marketable. Is it possible that he wants to be out of here so bad that he's playing this well?
I think he's cleared his head up, and perhaps if what you say is correct, Al, he's resigned to the fact that he can't escape, and it makes sense. He'll only be desirable if he plays well, which he had not been doing.
Anthony Mason spinning on Mills. And there's a foul on Mills, his fourth.
What's clear tonight is that Rodman is focused and playing very hard without distraction.
Well, the Pistons, like the Lakers and the Celtics, the super teams of the 80s, struggling now with the after effect of going long terms without having top draft picks. So the core of the championship team is here, but Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer getting a little bit older. Joe Dumars piling up the minutes. Mason is off.
You mentioned draft picks, Al. The last quality player over the last 5 years that they drafted was Michael Williams. He was subsequently traded.
Last year's top draft pick of the Bulls, Mark Randall, checks in. One-time Kansas Jayhawk. Hasn't played in the last 2 games, so a bit of a rarity for him to put minutes up right now. Dumars to Danny Young. Knicks very active on defense as they try to start things happening for themselves here. Dumars almost forced into the backcourt. 1:13 to go. 6 on the 24. Knicks pressuring Dumars, who falls away from the free throw line and hits. Dumars with 17 points to lead Detroit. On the 24 again for the Knicks on offense.
Dumars so tough. Honored as an NBA all-defensive player several times.
Anthony Mason hits the side of the backboard from the baseline. This is really ugly for the Knicks. 70-48 with the seconds counting down in the third. Mark Randall. Dennis Rodman for 3. Oh. Rodman exhorting the crowd, and they answer him with loud cheers, the loudest of the game.
That's his first one of the season. He had 6 attempts before.
Knicks down by their biggest amount. 25 points is the difference. Starks for Anthony. Blackman on the fake. Mason tries to follow over Mark Randall and is fouled with 2 seconds to go.
Al, it's interesting to me how long Pat Riley has sat Patrick Ewing. Patrick being the best, most effective player for the Knicks tonight, drew that technical foul, and he's been on the bench ever since, early at this quarter.
3 technicals in this quarter, 1 to Riley, 1 to Tony Campbell, and 1 to Patrick Ewing. Knicks haven't scored a field goal in the last 6 minutes, as their performance today is mirroring what the Chicago Bulls did yesterday at the Garden, or had done to them. Danny Young heaves it up. This game's 75% complete. It is a 23-point difference. Pistons well in front. Back to the Palace in a moment.
TNT long-distance shooting numbers for the evening. which have not been numerous, but there have been some. Most recently, first one of the season, an unlikely candidate to be honored for long distance shooting, Dennis Rodman, but he certainly earned that shot.
The only successful three-pointer by either team. Consider this for a moment, that the Knicks are down by 23 points to a team that is shooting 37% from the floor. That's the Pistons. Now, the Knicks have not broken the 20-point mark yet in this game. 15 in the first, 19 in the second, 16 in the third. Patrick Ewing back in with his 4 personal fouls. Rolando Blackman 1 for 5. Tony Campbell 0 for 7. Greg Anthony 1 for 5. John Starks 1 for 4. Charles Smith 2 for 6. Bad numbers on the ledger for the Knicks. Meanwhile, the Pistons have gotten 36 points from the free throw line. The Knicks only 12. Mason with the rebound for Greg Anthony. Ewing draws Danny Young and Olden Colonies, and that leaves Greg Anthony open. Knicks are not getting anything to happen for themselves inside. Rebounds are few and far between. This will be a foul on Detroit. Mark Randall is called for his second personal foul. And quickly, Ron Rothstein calls Terry Mills number 6, and Randall is gone. Knicks begin the fourth quarter with Patrick Ewing and Anthony Mason. Still 3 guards out there for the Knicks. And Blackman, Anthony, and Starks. Blackman penetrates, dishes for Ewing. This is where the 3 guards is hurting the Knicks. As Mills, Colonies, and Rodman are a tremendous force inside. Gerald Glass off the bench for the Pistons here in the fourth quarter. Danny Young with the fake. Finds Gerald Glass. 2 Knicks inside on a loose ball foul.
The odd part of that, it looked as though it was Mason that knocked Ewing down.
I thought the 2 Knicks collided as well, John, but it is the 5th personal foul on Terry Mills, and quickly he is pulled for Bill Laimbeer.
And we have New York on the run.
On the shot from the corner, you'll see Mason go flying, and Ewing falls down.
Hello.
Mills was the guilty party in the eyes of the officials.
Contact? I didn't see any. Starks on the 3-point attempt, and there he is beaten by a much taller man to the rebound.
Crowd exhorting Rodman to shoot the ball again from long range.
Yeah, they're loving his performance tonight. Rodman with 15 rebounds and 6 points. Trouble for Colonies underneath. Knicks try to create something on the break, and Greg Anthony goes all the way and misses a layup. We're more than 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, and the Knicks have 15 points. Well, they talk so often in the NBA about these back-to-back games and the second night being tough, but they're not supposed to be this tough.
Rodman attempting another 3-point shot.
Starks driving. And the Knicks, to me, John, are starting to show some of those, I hate to use the word selfish traits, but they seem to be an undisciplined offense traits that got Pat Riley so upset a week ago and led to the benching of Greg Anthony, Anthony Mason, and John Starks. They seem to be showing some of those traits in their frustration. Danny Young hits a 3-pointer. It is a 26-point Pistons lead.
Well, very simply, Al, they're not playing the game well at all.
Starks gets Glass in the air. And there's Rodman for rebound number 18. And a foul by John Starks as Gerald Glass tried to move around him. Hubert Davis has his number called by Pat Riley, and John Starks is pulled.
When you do not shoot the ball well as a team, other things have to rescue you. And if that doesn't happen, you're in big trouble. And that's really what's happened for the Knicks right now.
How about this? Patrick Ewing, 6 of 12. The rest of the team, 13 for 50. Both Greg Anthony and John Starks are 1 for 7. Tony Campbell, as I said earlier, 0 for 7. Isaiah Morris has checked into the game. The draft pick of the Miami Heat acquired in the John Sally trade. Greg Anthony shows the ball, drives in, and misses another layup and is fouled in the process. John Sally, who hoped to find happiness in a starting role with Miami, another one of the Pistons who's not happy this week, John. It seems as though if you were or ever played in Detroit, you're not happy this week. And John Sally is one of those. They put him on the bench in favor of Grant Long, and he's not happy about Kevin Loughery's decision to do that.
Al, I think I feel a tear coming. Meanwhile, as pointed out before, the Knicks are just not playing well in any aspect of the game right now. The effort seems to be there from their standpoint, but the execution isn't.
Knicks almost come up with a steal. Knicks would need a comeback of monumental proportions. But there, Isaiah Thomas throws it away. Gerald Glass had no chance. Gerald Glass acquired from the Minnesota Timberwolves with Mark Randall for Brad Sellers and Lance Blanks. In 3 years, never quite turning out the way the Pistons and Jack McCluskey thought he would at guard. But now Jack McCluskey, as GM of the T-Wolves, has him back, and also a draft pick in the year 2000, which evidently was something that Jack McCluskey wanted to do, have the first year 2000 draft pick. Gerald Glass. Pulled down by Polynice. Loose ball foul. It'll be against Detroit. It'll be on Polynice. That is his third. The local talk in Detroit after McCluskey got that year 2000 draft pick was exactly which 8th grader does Jack have his eyes on?
The lineup the Pistons are presenting now, prior to Isaiah Thomas coming in a moment ago, was one of familiarity for very few people. Only Bill Laimbeer from last year on the floor, but Isaiah just checked in to give him some company.
Anthony Mason backing in on Laimbeer, then pulls up for the straight-on shot. That is well off. Mason, 3 of 9 from the floor. Anthony working for the steal on Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah pretty much lets him go.
Tremendous play by Greg Anthony. Fought so hard to get that ball, and then he succeeded in the converting part of it.
Timeout on the floor called by the Pistons.
Scoring department for the Knicks tonight. Fine play here defensively by Greg Anthony, who continues down court with Isaiah Thomas in pursuit. Anthony finishing with a nice drive. But look at these numbers. The first Knicks field goal in the last 10 minutes and 46 seconds.
Ouch. This quarter, the two teams on the floor are a combined 2 of 17 from the floor. It is not like the Pistons are burning it up. As I said earlier, the Pistons are shooting horribly. And it's even worse than it was a couple of moments ago. The Pistons are shooting 34% from the floor, and they're up 76 to 54. Isaiah Thomas on the inbound with 18 on the 24. Laimbeer left open. Finally, Greg Anthony comes up with that wildly ricocheting rebound.
We get an example of Bill Laimbeer's poor shooting these days. Rolando with some quality from outside. Bill Laimbeer has not recaptured his touch of years gone by. Now at age 35, the question is, will he finish not only this season, of course he will, but will he honor the contract he has next year, which he was very happy to get.
The highest total of rebounds that Laimbeer has had in any game so far this season is 7. No basket. 3-second violation against the Pistons. Meanwhile, the Knicks on a 6-0 run and down by 20 with 6.5 to go. 13th turnover by the Pistons. They've had
there's some action under there with Ewing and Laimbeer slapping each other.
Mason all alone. It is an 8-0 run for the Knicks. Dumar's guarded by Hubert Davis. At guard with Greg Anthony and Rolando Blackman. Mason and Ewing up front. Laimbeer bothered by Blackman, and that'll be a foul on Dennis Rodman.
He's calling me.
Pushing off Patrick Ewing, and that is 4 on Rodman.
Rodman, ever aggressor, Ever the aggressor, rather pushing hard on Ewing on that play. For a guy at 6'8" to do what he does and accomplish what he gets done game in and game out is amazing.
18 rebounds, 6 points for Rodman in the game. For Patrick Ewing, 14 points, 6 of 12 from the floor, 11 rebounds, and he's off on attempt number 1.
One of the interesting statistics to come out of last season for Detroit was that Rodman got 42% of the Detroit Pistons rebounds over the season.
Averaged 18.7 a game, the highest per game average in the NBA in almost 20 years. Here are the shooting numbers, both teams at 33%, but a big difference on the scoreboard. Dumars. He breaks the mini drought.
The quickness with which he dribbles and releases the shot is quite special.
Blackman. He finds the range now. He's hit his last 2. He's 3 of 7 from the floor. Knicks down by 17, 78-61.
That was a 3-point shot from the deep corner.
Oh, it was. I did not see that signal. Good hustle by the Pistons to get another shot at it. Again, Joe Dumars, who's having a fine game. That's 21 points for Dumars.
What a quick release.
Greg Anthony for Rolando Blackman for 3. And a loose ball foul underneath. It is against Detroit. Terry Mills getting set to come back. Bill Laimbeer will sit. Fourth personal foul on Bill Laimbeer. And there's a timeout on the floor with 4:33 to go. The Pistons 80, the Knicks 61, and showing a little bit of life.
Our Toyota matchup of the evening consists of a look at Patrick Ewing and Dennis Rodman. Note Rodman's aggressiveness now, dealing with the taller Ewing. Gets Ewing off balance, which could have been a foul, but went unnoticed, and then grabbed that rebound. But he's an aggressive man.
That is just an enormous effort by Dennis Rodman, and something that Patrick Ewing would no doubt hate to see on replay. Now the Knicks and the Pistons are putting up some horrific numbers together. They're doing it together. If you look in the NBA record book, you can see that when the Milwaukee Hawks took on the Minneapolis Lakers in 1954, they combined for 25% shooting. That is the NBA record. Right now, I don't know if we're challenging it, but we're certainly making it an interesting comparison. 33% for the Knicks and 35% for the Pistons. Pistons getting 26% from the free throw line. The Knicks 14%.
The Pistons' history is defense. This year they've been allowing 47% from the field for their opponents, which is way off their past. And you look at Ron Rothstein, their head coach now, a man who really got this job based on his defensive past as well, has his team playing at a very high level tonight.
Quick thinking by Rolando Blackman. Patrick Ewing 2 of 6 from the free throw line. Knicks as a team 14 of 23. Kickball is called, and the Pistons will inbound again. You can see the Knicks are applying pressure here. Down by 17 with 4:22 to go. Anthony Mason on the inbound steal. The pressure by the Knicks making something happen there. With the Knicks at 63 points, they're beyond that 62-point mark established, 61-point mark established last April 12th as their lowest total in the era of the 24-second clock. Olden Colonies has called for the foul, his 4th. John, remarkable, just to look back at that Minneapolis Lakers Milwaukee Hawks. I mean, wouldn't George Mikan have been in that game?
54, yes, I believe so.
I mean, so you're talking about the bespectacled one being involved in a game where he was, piling up points at such a successful rate, which The shooting was horrible. It's before I was born, so I'm counting on you.
George Mikan in the 1953-54 season was the high scorer for the Lakers. Al, followed by Jim Pollard and Vern Mickelson, as most of our listeners over 40 would remember.
There's an offensive foul called against Terry Mills, and that is it for Mills. He has fouled out with 3:57 to go.
Mills, the victim of very good acting by the Knicks' Greg Anthony on that play. Mills added a lot, however, to the Pistons' attack in very limited time tonight.
Well, I'll say 18 points on 6 of 10 shooting, second to Joe Dumars' 21. It's down by 15 with 3:45 to go. Greg Anthony whirling inside, fouled on the drive. You know, you sense the tide is definitely turning here, and Greg Anthony comes up, it seems, hurt, having hit the floor.
A lot of players get criticized for helping up opponents from the floor, and as soon as Anthony went down, Rodman was right over to try and help him up.
It's been another bruising night for Greg. Earlier in the game, Patrick Ewing stepped on his chest, and now here he takes another shot. That'll send Greg Anthony to the line. He has struggled from the floor, only 2 of 8 for 8 total points. To 66.
Nice to see Bennett Salvatore, the official, out at half court right now on our side. Al back in action. Bennett missed most of the season last year in a terrible car accident after working 10 games. Severe leg and ankle injuries, knee and ankle injuries, and he bounced back. The Steve Martin lookalike. Salvatore, welcome back.
Knicks applying the pressure. Greg Anthony still looks to be hobbled a bit by whatever happened to him when he crashed to the floor. Olden Polynice dishes for Woolridge, and the easiest of 2 for Orlando. Woolridge with 10 points. 5 in double figures for Detroit. Only 2 in double figures for the Knicks. Ewing. Ewing 7 of 13. From the floor.
Knicks have gotten better shooting in the last 3 minutes than they've had at any point in this game.
It is a 14-point difference right now with 2:55 to go. A couple of well-placed shots, and suddenly you're talking a very different feeling to the last couple of minutes. Knicks pressure Dennis Rodman. Joe Dumars pushed well into the backcourt.
Great to hear Orlando Woolridge right in front of us yelling out to Rodman, "Come on, Worm, here I am, Worm."
Always one of my favorite nicknames.
Dennis's nickname.
Air ball picked up by Patrick Ewing. And it is a foul from behind on Dennis Rodman, his 4th. Now the Knicks with the Pistons over the limit will have a chance to knock this lead off a little bit more. John Starks back in for Greg Anthony, who limped over to the Knick bench.
If there is a bright spot on the offense for the Knicks as we look at Greg Anthony getting some further instruction from very cool Pat Riley. Knicks were 1 of 10 to begin the 4th quarter. They've been 5 of 6 since then from the field.
And Patrick 2 of 6 from the line until he dropped that one in, so now 3 of 7. Bill Laimbeer replaces Olden Polynice. Polynice 0 for 2 from, 3 of 11 from the floor, 10 points and 12 rebounds. It is a 12-point game with 2:34 to go. 82-70, the Knicks an attempt to make this interesting.
A look at our Old Spice leaders. We see Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, and Isaiah Thomas, the active Isaiah Thomas, number 3 all-time in assists. Speaking about outstanding guards in the NBA, Don Chaney, now a Pistons assistant coach after a spell with the Houston Rockets as an assistant. Fine guy. It's nice to see him active after leaving Houston.
There are times when Pat Riley calls a timeout, says nothing or very little. That was one of those timeouts. Saving his little preparation speech for right at the end of the timeout. 9 on the 24 as the Knicks turn it up defensively. Isaiah Thomas. The rebound is grabbed and finally back into the Detroit Pistons' hand. 3 guards out there for the Pistons. Pressured by Starks. Fans want a foul. There is none called. Now the double team with Davis, and Dumars calls a timeout. It is a 20-second timeout. Dumars saying, wait a minute, with all that contact, there was no foul?
Well, he's wondering what it takes to get that whistle blown. He was taking a pounding like he was a boxer on the ropes.
There are 14 seconds on this second possession by Detroit on the 24-second clock.
Dumars protecting the ball with his body. He gets banged around pretty good.
And even 2 minutes now remaining. Tuesday night, it won't be easier for the Knicks. The Portland Trailblazers will be at the Garden. Our coverage begins with game night at 7 o'clock. The Knicks and the Portland Trailblazers.
Blazers have gotten a little soft with 2 losses, most recently against the Lakers the other night.
Rodman almost throwing it away. Lane Beer saving it. 5 on the 24. Danny Young. And that one hurts for all the hard work the Knicks put out there defensively. The Pistons still get 2 to push the lead back up to 15.
Great part about playing with Dumars is he sees the open court. He saw Danny Young.
Ewing's jump hook was a line drive. It will be Pistons ball out of bounds. Well, the Knicks, John, I guess, realizing that they're not 37 points better than the Chicago Bulls, and they're not exactly what they put on the floor tonight. That's the one night you're this, one night you're that thinking. I guess you start thinking whether you have to rationalize whether this is an alarm for the Knicks or whether you just chalk it up to one of those nights. Over the top of the backboard, Piston ball.
It's just reality, Al. The Knicks had great success yesterday, and they've had some fine games this season, but it's an example that you can't turn it on and off. You've got to play hard every single night, and they just did not answer the call tonight.
Chiefs and the condition of Dennis Byrd and Harry Carson will, of course, lend some insight into that situation. And all the NBA and NHL action tonight coming your way from the MSG Sports Desk when we conclude the Knicks and the Pistons in a matter of minutes.
Sure. MSG's Bob Page has enjoyed seeing his Pistons tonight. Bob has many ties here to Detroit.
Actually, no ties. They can't stand him here anymore, John. They ran him out of town. Anthony Mason with 1:15 to go in for Starks. The Pistons defense really did a number on the Knicks, and they helped by creating some of their own problems as well. Rolando Blackman in traffic. 85-72, under a minute. Pat Riley still barking defensive instructions from the sideline. And Hubert Davis called for the foul.
That's his third personal.
It's his third. Detroit will inbound. Knicks will fly home tonight. Have a chance to practice and talk things over tomorrow.
Pat Riley coaching his team to the very end here, working on this pressure defense.
MTV's Big
with the sack. Ronaldo Turnbull with the sack. And then under pressure, Marino was sacked 5 times. He's picked off by Vince Buck.
Joe Dumars is putting up his 22nd point. His teammate Dennis Rodman has had quite a stretch of rebounds galore since returning after being suspended for 3 games. Unbelievable. 64 rebounds in 3 games. The Knicks won another timeout with the score 87-72 and 49.4 seconds to go.
Growing up,
Yvette Ortiz.
Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks will just play out the last 49.4 seconds with the Pistons on the verge of snapping their 7-game losing streak. Tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden, the Rangers will play the second in their home-and-home against the Minnesota North Stars. The Rangers battling to earn a tie after the blowout of Pittsburgh earlier in the week. It'll be the Rangers and the North Stars tomorrow, with game night beginning our coverage at 7 o'clock.
We are witnessing, Al, another example of the mental part of sports. How difficult it is to prepare for an opponent after a high of yesterday. And there must be an element of that in the Knicks' performance tonight.
Off the hands of Patrick Ewing over Bill Lambier, and Patrick rolls it in. That's 22 points, 12 rebounds, another double-double for Patrick Ewing. But the Knicks needed a lot more than that. Just to go down some of the shooting numbers for the Knicks. 0 of 7 for Tony Campbell. Doc Rivers 1 of 4. Greg Anthony 2 of 8. John Starks 1 of 7. Charles Smith 2 of 6. This was obviously a disease that infected everyone.
Total team effort, with the exception of Ewing, and that's the way it was throughout.
You know, the weird thing is that the Knicks are going to finish up this game shooting better than Detroit. Knicks will finish it up, as it looks right now, shooting 36% from the floor. The Pistons only 35. And this has been about as one-sided a game as you can figure. There you see Patrick Ewing holding up his end of the bargain. After that, it's not good.
And the Pistons will see a 7-game losing streak come to an end.
Isaiah Thomas, his shooting troubles continue. 4 of 12 from the floor. 11 points on the game. 4 of 12, actually a little bit worse than Isaiah's 38% season average.
Amazing Starks made that after the severe bump with Thomas.
Lambier is fouled hard by John Starks, and Lambier just walks away. That was a very loud foul, and Dumars has a word for Starks.
Probably said nice foul.
It sounded
Dumars is a gentleman,
hard.
Quiet guy. When the Pistons signed Terry Mills, they had to do some adjusting with their salary cap. And this man stepped forward and made a deal. And I think out of that deal, I believe out of that deal came another year for Bill Lambier. This is Terry Mills, a happy man. Happy to be home in Detroit. And Bill Lambier negotiated an extra year. The question is, will he play that extra year based on the numbers this year and the direction of play that he's shown? It could go either way.
Last 30 seconds of the contest. It's down by 14. Pistons enjoyed a lead well into the 20s for much of this second half. Fifth foul on Patrick Ewing. And for the Knicks, the last couple of minutes here have slowed to an almost agonizing pace. Lambier will go to the line. You know, speaking of reorganization of salaries, I guess there was no more outrageous level to which that was taken than for Alonzo Mourning, who required 5 players of the Hornets to reorganize their contracts to pay his salary. Mark Randall back in, replacing Dennis Rodman, who leaves with a monumental 20-rebound, 6-point performance. And the few who are left at the Palace let him know they appreciate it. There you see Mark Aguirre out with 2 injured Achilles in the background. Natalie attired as always. Lambier with 8 points, 5 rebounds. And this will do it. Knicks pressure without fouling. After losing 7 in a row, the Pistons have won a ball game. And they beat the New York Knicks, who beat them in last year's first round of the playoffs. A team, of course, that beat the Chicago Bulls yesterday by 37. Go figure. A little of the pressure is off for Ron Rothstein. A little of the pressure is off for the Detroit Pistons, who still have quite a road ahead in rebuilding their franchise for the rest of the 90s. 92-76, the final. We'll be back in a moment.
Pistons did tonight, percentage-wise, which is amazing because you guys earned this victory and you were ahead most of the way, but it was the defense once again that saved you. Now, this team hasn't been playing the kind of defense as the past has indicated, have they, Joe?
No, we haven't. A lot of people think when you say chemistry, they think strictly offense. But chemistry entails defense also. I mean, you have to have a good chemistry on defense also, and we haven't had that early. And that's been killing us. Even though we haven't been scoring a lot of points, if we'd have had some chemistry on defense, I think we'd have won some of these games.
How is that so elusive? Because the word on defense is it can be there every night. It's not like offense where you can miss and you don't know what you're doing wrong, but defense should be there every night, shouldn't it?
Well, the effort can be there, but if you don't know your assignments, if you don't know your rotations, if you don't know when to step up and help, that's where all that comes into play. You know, I don't think the coaches will have a problem with the effort that we've given the first 10, 11 games, but people just a half step late and getting there, not knowing, indecisive, and that's what's been happening.
Joe, how important is Dennis Rodman to this team?
Oh, he brings it to another level. He brings energy to the floor. Obviously, he's a great rebounder. He's a really good defender down on their big guys. You know, when you bring a player like that to the court, he just brings so much to you.
Was his non-performance in the early part of the season and his personal problems a great distraction to the team?
Not really. I would say yes if we had been getting blown out of those games. But if you looked at the first 6, 7 games, I think we lost each of them by 2 or 3 points. And he could have helped us in those games down the stretch. But as far as a distraction mentally, I don't think so. We came ready to play the first 6 or 7 games.
Joe Dumars, a class act as usual. Thank you very much for visiting with us, Joe, and good luck to you the rest of the way. Now let's go back to Al Troutwig.
All right, John, some very well thought out analysis from Joe Dumars. 23 points in 36 minutes to help lead the Pistons to victory finally tonight. Back in a moment.
Coming up, Pain is the name of the Knicks Motor City game. Portland packs a punch. An ex-player gives us a profile.